Hello again, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the first part of Genesis, chapters 1 through 9, and we're going to be going, start at 20 and going on through the end and finishing up day 5 and day 6, which is the creation of man, which is really, really fun and very, very important. So let's get right into it. Oh, by the way, I'm Charity, in case it's your first time watching my video. Or you can call me Leaner313, whichever one suits you best. Here we go. Let's get into it.
And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth, across the vault of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea, and every living and moving thing with which the water teems, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful, and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures, according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky, over the livestock, and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move on the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day.
All right. Isn't that wonderful? How God, okay, now we just got into day 5 and then day 6. Day 5 is basically living creatures, birds, things like that. It shows how awesome he is, because everything that was created on this earth was created by God. The living creatures, the birds in the air, the things in the seas, and he gave them the commandment to be fruitful and multiply. And he also gave us that same commandment. But he's talking to Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply, husband and wife. Okay? Let's not go into that. Let's get back into the scripture here. And it says, verse 27, "So God created man in his image, and in the image of God he created him, male and female he created them." Now, that doesn't mean we are created in God's image, but this is not to say that we are God, or we have the powers of God, or anything of that nature, because if you think about it in a common sense way, do we have the power to create anything, as such as in we creating birds or anything that's in the sea, or the land, or the skies and the heavens? Even if we did, it's already been created. But no, we don't have that power, so we are not God in any sense, or any that scripture in any way does not mean that we are God. But it did say that we were made in his image, in his likeness. So, which was a wonderful, wonderful thing, because if you notice before, in the other days, in the other way he created the animals, he did not do that with them. He did not create them in the same way. So we were created in the likeness of God. Let's move on. Verse 28. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in numbers. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over every living creature that moves on this earth. So we were given dominion over everything on the earth. We were to rule over everything that was on the ground, everything that was in the sea, and we were the ones that were we are the ones that are over it. And I mean, look at it today. I mean, granted, if a tiger did come out in the city, it could probably do some very damaging things to us, but I'm saying that we're higher in the food chain. So let's move on to verse 29. It says, then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And I want to point that out, which I pointed out in the last video. He created the food that was for us to eat before he created us. So he had already planned this thing out, that okay, we are going to be, and at this time we were still vegetarians. We weren't eating meat. Later on, when we get after Noah, after the flood and after Noah, it starts talking about how he gave us animals to eat. But right now we're only to eat green plants, and we were essentially vegetarians. Which I think was such a wonderful thing, and it just shows his sovereignty of how gracious he is and how wonderful he is, and how he created all of these things for us, made a beautiful garden and placed us inside of the garden. And right now I always like to call chapter 1 as the overview, because first, and I've heard different things and different theories, which really doesn't make much sense to me. I've heard that there was more than one Eve. God created one Eve, and then later on he created another Eve, because in chapter 1 he said Eve, and then he created woman, and then he's created Eve. But chapter 1 is really just an overview, kind of like a summary of what is going to happen later on in scripture. You go into chapter 2, it starts to get more in depth into how he created man and what happened when man was in the garden. And I've seen this, and this is not just in Genesis chapter 1. This is also throughout Genesis, where you have the first chapter, or the chapter right above it, that is a summary of what they're going to get ready to talk about later on. Just an overview of what we're going to be coming up, or what we're going to be talking about next. So keep it, if you have any questions or comments, the Leaner313 is actually my email, so you can send me an email at Yahoo. And I would love to hear from you. Send me a email on YouTube if you have any questions. And Jesus is Lord. And I love you guys. Bye.